Oh,
Hey Mario,
hello. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, how are you?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah, we were in Teaneck, New Jersey. My son had a grandson, made me a
I'm,
great grandfather.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, and then we went up to Canada for a bit and got
Good.
back.
So your great grandfather. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty great.
How does he feel?
It's good. It's really good. You know, we have now four generations of Kohanim.
That's good.
Yeah, we're all ready for the base of English.
Hmm.
Okay, we're on 27, Chav Zayin.
Hmm?
27, Chav Zayin. Kama
Yes.
Havalu. How much square amas is a base saw? Trey Alfi v'chamish megar midi. 2,500 square amas. Now, if you have 3 trees in that amount of area, so the kol chad v'chad, kama matile, how much square footage around each tree? Tamni may have it less and v'tilsa. 833. Well, akati nefisha ula. That's a bigger sheet because Ula said they only need 250 square amas. You don't need such a 833. So the Gemara says Lloyd Doc, he was not precise in his measurements. So the Gemara says, Emet, I mean, Lloyd Doc lechumra. Maybe with shiurim, we're going to say you can be extra, you can, be more than you need for chumra. But for leniency, he's pottering from bringing bikurim because one is not going to derive nourishment if it's further than that. So here comes the Gemara. Misaris beriva kamina. Are we talking about creating a square around a tree? No, bi'igulaka. Bi'igulaka kamina. We're talking about a circle around the tree, which is going to be smaller than the square. How much is a square when you look at area? If you have a square inscribing a circle, it means a circle is within a square. How much more area is the square over the circle? Revia, 1/4. So we reduce the 833, Pashulu, Shvamios, Vashas, Vitane, go down to 768. According to the Cheshbon and Mishnah, which if there's 16 and a half amos on each side, you're going to be half an amma extra. That's what we mean. Hainu de lo dog, l'chomer lo dog. Toshma. According to Elon V'Karko, if you buy a tree in its land, maybe bring bikurim v'kore, and you read the parsha. My love, even if you bought kolshu, even if you bought a little bit of land, we're on Chav Zayin Omid Aleph. Well, you bought land, Sheishes Reyamo. Toshma, Konesh Nei Ilonis B'toch Shel Chaveru. You bought 2 trees from your neighbor's field. Maybe the Eino Korah, because you only bought the trees, you didn't buy the land. Ha Sholosh Ilonis, if you would have bought 3 trees, maybe the Korah. My love, that you bought a little bit kolshu, a little bit of land, not 16 amos with the trees. Well, ochanami sheishes reyam. So Toshma, Rabbi Kiva Oimer, karka kolshu, chayav pe'avu bikur. Any amount of land, you're chayav to bring the corners and bikurim because we'll have prusbul. You're allowed to ride a prusbul to protect your loans as long as there's a little piece of land. You can sell metaltalin as an agav kinyan when you sell land, even if the land is a little piece of land. Now, I thought Ula said if you have a tree next to a border and it's deriving nourishment from some land next door, you're potter from Bikur. We're talking about wheat. And you don't need a lot of land for wheat. Even a small amount of land, that's enough for wheat. But a tree requires a lot more land. Shmami no, good proof. Toshma. Elon miktsasa ba'aretz miktsasa b'chutzretz. You have a tree. Part of its roots are in Eretz Yisrael. Part of the roots are in Chutz La'aretz. So teva v'chulim maravin zebazeh. The fruit from that tree, each fruit's going to be half tevel, half chulim. From the part of the tree growing in Eretz Yisrael, you got to be mafresh meiser. That which is growing michutz la'aretz is potter, but it's all in the same tree, so it's tevel v'chulim u'ravin. Divrei Rebbe. Rav Shimon Gamliel Oimer, no, hagadol b'chiyuv. The fruits that are in Eretz Yisrael, you have to give meiser. Chai, hagadol b'ptur potter. Now, what are they arguing? Ad kam lepligel the Mar Savar. Rav Shimon Gamliel holds yesh breira, that retroactively we figure out that which derived its nourishment from Eretz Yisrael, you have to give chiyuv from. Mar Savar ain't breira. It's all mixed. We don't do retroactive designation. Aval gadol b'ptur. If the tree completely was in chutz la'aretz, different kol potter. Even though that tree has some roots that are deriving nourishment from Eretz Yisrael, it's kashan ula. There was a stone wall between that went down into the ground between Eretz Yisrael and chutz la'aretz, and therefore it blocked the nourishment of the roots. My time at the Rebbe, and if that's describing the Metzias, how could Rebbe say that every fruit is teva v'chulim ravin zebazeh? So the Hadri are Rav. They come out and they go back in above the ground, so they're all mixed together. Ubamai kamifli Mar Savar Avira. That which grows above the ground is mebalbel, is mixed in with the nourishment. Umar Sovar, it's not mixed in. Even though the roots sort of combine together, the fruits stay separate. The sulo, a tree only is yoinek 16 amas, vatnan. You have to distance a tree 25 amas from a board because the roots can damage even more than 16 amas. Yeah, traveling roots are more than 16, but to weaken the karka more than 16 doesn't work. Only ela ad am. Beyond that, it doesn't draw nourishment from the ground beyond 16 amas. Kiyasa Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael, a tree near a border within 16 amas. He's deriving nourishment like a gazlan. But you don't bring bikurim. Maybe the koiri. No, a tree right next to the border, or a tree that leans over chotzer, you bring bikurim. We're not makbid, and Yoshua made a t'nai that they shouldn't be makbid on each other. Mishnah. Ilan shu notel lechavero. A tree in my backyard is leaning over to my neighbor's backyard. Hoitzeit smole amardo. Al gabia machresha. Your neighbor has to be able to move a plow in his field. So you chop down branches high enough so that it's got to be at least a mole marda. Marda is like a stick that you beat one of the oxen with above a plow, so that the branches of the tree don't prevent the farmer from using his plow. With a carob and a sycamore, they have a lot of branches. So kenegda mishkolos, you have to cut it out even higher. Any part that is hanging over to the side of your neighbor's field has to be cut. If it's Beis HaShalchin, if that field was an irrigated field, so kol ha'ilin keneged mishkolos. So again, you have to cut even more. Abashol omer kol ilin srak keneged mishkolos. Any non-fruit producing tree, you have to cut until the mishkolos. Any part that's leaning over to the field. Iboilu abashol areisha koi. Is abashol going on the first part of the Mishnah where the tree is leaning over the friend's field? And you're allowed to cut down any non-fruit tree. And it's not just a carob and a sycamore, but any tree. Oh, a sofik koi. It's only going on the seifa, which is talking about an irrigated field. And there it's only a heter regarding a non-fruit bearing tree. So come in here and prove, Toshma, the Tanya, Beis HaShalchin, irrigated field, Abishol Omer, Kol Ilan Keneged Mishkolos, all trees, not just carob and sycamore. And they shot sail, Rala Beis HaShalchin. Having shade over an irrigated field is bad for it. Shmamina Areisha Koi. Shmamina. Amravashi. Masis Nami Deka. We can deduce this from the language of the Mishnah. Diktani. Kol ilin srak. The Mishnah itself made a get there regarding non-fruit bearing trees. If Abishol is only going on the Reisha, I know Diktani kol ilin. That's why it said over there, all trees. Ilin srak. Why do I have to be told ilin srak? We mean all trees. Elam shmami no shareisha koi. Shmami no, that's correct. Mishnah. Ilin shu noitel u'shasarabi. You have a tree in your backyard and it's leaning over to the public square. A camel with its rider has to be allowed to have free access in the Rosh Hashanah. So you have to cut the branches so far so that a camel and its rider can ride underneath the tree without any problem. Rav Yehuda Oimer, Gamal told Pishno Chavilas Moros, not a rider, as long as a fully laden camel, laden with material like flax or wool. Rav Shimon Oimer, Kola ilan keneged mishkolos. You have to cut all the tree. Nothing should be overhanging into the Rosh Hashanah. Why? But they are tumah. Because there might be tumah, and then the tree that overhangs is going to cause tumah to spread to a wide area. Mantana, that benizak in Basra Umden and the Hashtazlino. When it comes to damage payment, we look at what the current damage is, not what potential damage might occur. That's why our Mishnah said, you cut the branches of a tree until the height of a camel. Later on, it's going to grow back. You don't have to worry about it at that time. You'll have to take care of it then. That halacha is in a machlokes. And it's the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer, this not. In oisin chalal tachas rishus harabim. We don't make an empty space in rishus harabim. Not boirois, not sichin, not ma'arois. Those are water cisterns or wells. Rabbi Eliezer matir. Rabbi Eliezer says you could dig a bore in rishus harabim as long as you cover it. What is the strength of a covering of a bore? It has to be so strong that a wagon full of stones can travel over it and not break. Even though later on that covering may rot, you don't have to worry about it. Basar umdana dahash doesn't. We look at what it is now. So Rav Yochanan, no, afilu temer rabbanan. They prohibit you digging a bore in Rishus Harabim. They don't care how you cover it. Because maybe the covering you put over the bore will weaken. He won't know about it. It'll lead to a damage. Here he cuts what needs to be cut. You don't have to worry about it later on. Rabbi Yehuda said you don't have to cut branches for a camel and a rider, but for a fully laden camel. So iboilu. Shiur de Rav Yehuda nafish. Is it a bigger shear? Or dilma shiur de Rabbanan nafish? Or a rider is bigger. Who's taller? A gamal with a rider or a gamal full of load? So pshita de shiur de Rabbanan nafishi. It's pashut that the Chachamim who said a camel with a rider, that's higher. The Isa Gedaitach Shiyud Rav Yehuda Nafish. If Rav Yehuda's shear is bigger, so Rabbanan b'Shiyud Rav Yehuda Echi Avi. What would they? I mean, they also hold that a camel with its load has to be able to travel in Rishus Harabim. Elamai Shiyud Rabbanan Nafish. So what are you going to say? That the camel with its rider is taller? So then Rabbi Yehuda b'Shiyud Rabbanan ma'avitlei. So what would be the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda with the? How would Rabbi Yehuda hold that if you cut branches to only the sheet of Rabbanan, it won't be enough for a camel and its rider? So that's after the gochin v'chalav tuti. Maybe the rider will sort of bend down if there's not a big difference. You have to clean out all the branches that have overridden the Rishus Harabim because of tumah. Because the tree branches might be covering a grave and it'll spread the tumah everywhere underneath the tree. Pshita, what's the chiddush here? Mibnei Tumah Tznan, the Mishnah says clearly Mibnei Tumah. So even Masnisin, if it only had the Mishnah Havamina, Tibamaisi or Oirev Tumah, maybe a raven will bring something that is tummy and sit there at the branches and throw the piece of tumah there. And therefore, because of that chashash, we don't let branches grow. But sagi be the chaluli ba'alma. But maybe you'd only have to cut enough to prevent ravens to ride there. Mashmalon, that it's because oil atum, you have to cut everything out. Okay, stop here.
At what time tomorrow?
Tonight is 8:15.
Sure, tomorrow 8:15 and tomorrow.
Tonight is 8:15 and tomorrow's also 8:15.
Very good. Okay.
Tomorrow is Tzvika's not here.
Right.
So we can learn after Mincha Marv, which is 8:15.
No, tonight, Surah is 8:30, right?
Make it 8:15. Send everybody a message.
Oh, okay.
Might as well start earlier.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.